Alright, hey guys, Paxter, welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. As the title states, we're going to be going over all the EXs, both Mega and non-Mega EXs from the new booster pack, booster set, Mega Rising. And there's a lot. There is a lot, over 10, and some of them are pretty good. Some of them are just kind of like a hit or miss. If you guys are new to my channel, I really do consider liking and subscribing. It really does help me out as a small-time-ish content creator. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So in this video, yeah, we're going to go over all the EXs, and then afterwards, we're going to go over a bit of the non-EXs, just like some what I've seen that are somewhat rather notable. But at the same time, this pack is coming out in less than 24 hours. So yeah, by the time this comes out, it probably will be kind of like old news. You can just look at it in the game, see which is good and which is bad. But it's kind of like just my first impressions, and as well as most likely your guys' as well. We'll also go over some trainer cards, not all of them, but some noteworthy ones. But yeah, first Mega we have is Mega Pidgeot EX. HP 210. First of all, this right off the bat, it is a promo card, keep in mind. This is from a drop event. Attack Giant Twister, 100 damage, requires 3 energy, flip 3 coins. For each heads, discard a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. If all of them are tails, this attack does nothing. That is interesting. So, So it says, okay, this is kind of interesting. So it says this attack does nothing if it's all tails, meaning that, okay, if you get at least one heads, you're doing 100. If you get all tails, then this attack does 0, which is pretty scary. I mean, granted, it is like what, like a 10% chance that you get all tails, it's something very relatively low. But I mean, if you ever use Moltres EX, like, you know how it feels. So this guy might just fail you. But this is pretty good, just like able to kind of like essentially a Team Rocket grunt. That's Mega Pidgeot. First impressions doesn't seem that great, but it is. It is a colorless card, so it does benefit from Elima. But at the same time, I mean, he's stage 2. So if you get this guy out using rare candies, then if you use Elima, this guy's just gone, and then you can't get him out again. So he could be a pretty good stall card, but I feel like pairing cards with Elima, you're better off with like basic colorless cards. So stage 2s, yeah, this from the looks of it doesn't seem that great. But again, I mean, it is colorless. You can get this guy fed relatively fast. It just is ultimately up to just getting him out. But overall, yeah, in my opinion, I don't think it's really that worth it, especially since it is an EX, like a Mega EX. So keep in mind, once this guy gets knocked out, you're just screwed. So you might have to run one Elima just in case this guy gets super low, just to make sure you just don't lose automatically. But yeah, that's Mega Pidgeot. Next card, we have Hitmonchan EX. This guy's freaking showing no mercy, punching a leaf. He's like, yeah, grass types, watch out, man. But yeah, this is a very interesting card. EX, not a Mega. Of course, HP 130, basic, quick straight, 50 damage. However, this attack's damage isn't affected by weakness. So the wording is very interesting here. In other words, let's say you're going against Arceus EX. Arceus EX is weak to fighting. This guy only does 50 damage. Usually for other cards, they would do 70 because of type advantage. However, for this guy, only 50. So a pretty good chip card. Just essentially doing quick attacks in a sense. Overall, I mean, we shall see. I mean, this guy currently, I don't think he's gonna be that good, especially since fighting type is kind of dead. I'm trying to think here. Let me look up the list. I actually took a picture. So this guy's the only fighting EX. So keep that in mind. But I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets a lot better if they add a Mega fighting type later on, because you can do a 2-3 route where like this guy would lead early game and then you sub in the Mega towards the middle to late game. So overall, pretty good chip damage, but currently, I mean, fighting type, you could pair him with Rampardos, but I don't think it's going to be, we shall see. I mean, it could still be pretty good, but yeah, just pretty solid. I feel like he's just solid, and he could be good. I mean, like, you never know. People have been wrong with Giratina and Gyarados, but yeah, only time will tell if this guy will be somewhat prominent. For now, it just seems kind of mid. And oh yeah, here we go. It's getting into the meat of things. Greninja EX. So off the bat, without looking at the description just yet, I mean, you can see it right now, but this guy has to be better than the non-EX. Like, this guy has so much expectations to be good, and it's very debatable, because I feel like the non-EX version is still, it's better in some regards, but this guy is also good as well. So HP 170. Ability Shifting Stream. Once during your turn, you may switch your active water Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So essentially a Celesteela. It's a water type Celesteela. Because keep in mind, it doesn't affect, it's not only for this Pokemon. This is where whatever active Pokemon you have. So if this guy's in the bench, then your active Pokemon's getting the support. Has a lot of potential, especially with, I guess, Mega Gyarados. If you're, yeah, I can very much see that towards the late game. If your Mega Gyarados is like super low and you have to like switch out of him, and I mean, sure, your opponent can Cyrus, but I mean, if Mega Gyarados did his job, the Cyrus might be in the your opponent's graveyard, in your opponent's discard pile. Attack-wise, this is pretty good, pretty decent. Aqua Edge 100, and this guy gets a lot of buffs because stage 2 water, so he has Rita support, Lily support. Shout out to Pokemon Zone. There's the berry, the citrus berry, yeah, which heals 30 if you're below half HP. So yeah, this is Greninja. Overall, it's very, I feel like it really varies on your deck, on other cards in your deck, because again, Suicune Greninja, like I feel like that's a better pairing than Suicune and Greninja EX. I feel like that's a better pairing than non-EX version, and especially since Oricorio, I mean, that card, amazing chip damage, as well as just dealing with Oricorio, whereas this guy, I mean, just feels overall just kind of like a support in the bench. And however, like attack-wise, it's still pretty good. So yeah, it's really hard to tell. Again, it really depends. I feel like currently in the meta, I don't think this guy is that great in the current meta. But in the next meta, I mean, if they add more broken water cards aside from Gyarados EX, and as well in the future metas, then this guy might see some prominence. But currently, I feel like the non-EX one is a lot better. Next guy, Mega Ampharos EX. We've already kind of known about this card. Came out in the trailer. HP 210. Yeah, stage 2, of course. Lightning Lancer, 100 damage. One of your opponent's bench Pokemon is chosen at random 3 times. For each time a Pokemon was chosen, also do 20 damage to it. So it feels kind of like a hybrid of like this, a solid like this damage card and a very RNG-esque RNG gimmick card such as Wugtrio, non-EX Dragonite, even Magcar Go, but somewhat more consistent. This guy does 160, could potentially do 160 damage if your opponent has only one Pokemon out. If they only have their active Pokemon, you're doing straight 160 damage. A lot of people don't really like this card. It is rather slow in my opinion. I feel like, yeah, you do want to play it towards the mid to late game. Could be more reliable than Pikachu EX, like the one from Shining Revelry. So against, in terms for nuking, I mean, especially if your opponent only has one card, but requires a bit of RNG. Yeah, so I feel like this is, it's hard to tell. With this card, again, it's one of those circumstances where like a lot of people are saying it's not that good, but it's like Gyarados. It's like, it could be good depending on what they add, depending on which cards could synergize well with this. Because Lightning, I mean, it does require 3 energy, but Lightning is just goated with energy support. We have Baby Pokemon, Zero Aura, Elemental Switch, so there's a lot of that. But yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, Ampharos, one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 2, so I might just kind of run this guy to see how it works once he comes out. Next card, we have Dragalge, or Dragalge? Is that how you say the name? Yeah, this is interesting. The Poison Seahorse, I think that's a Seahorse. HP 150, stage 1. Poison Point. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, the attacking Pokemon is now poisoned. So essentially a poison barb as an ability. That's essentially what it is, which is pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, your opponent can't Guzma, so kind of like a Guzma counter in a sense. Kind of fitting with the Darkness archetype, because I feel like Darkness has always kind of shined with doing chip damage. Like whether it's like Darkrai's ability, just poison in general. Yeah. Draconic Whip, 80 damage, 2 energy. So this guy can attack relatively fast. In a turn, you can potentially do 90, and if you want to buff that, Nihilego. Just do a lot more. Again, we shall see. This is one of those cards yet again, like we shall see if it's going to be that good, that bad. It could be a miss, but it could also be a hit. But for now, it's really too early to tell. Next card, Indeedee EX. HP 130. This card is very situational. So ability, first of all, watch over. Once during your turn, you may heal 20 damage from your active Pokemon. So pretty good support. You could run this guy in your bench, just kind of supporting your active Pokemon. However, attack, Psychic, 30 base damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And this is where it's very situational, because I mean, if you're going against Suicune, then you are doing 90 damage, which is pretty good, I guess. It's decent, but keep in mind, this is a basic, and HP is rather low, so this card can get 2-hit KO depending on your opponent. And even against Suicune, I mean, depending on your field, you could just get one-shotted, especially if your opponent's using non-EX Greninja. But yeah, this card is very similar to Espeon. in a sense, but this is a basic. So a lot of people are saying this is debatably better, but I mean, Espeon I feel like might be a bit better since it is a non-EX. But yeah, again, this is one of those cards where it's like it's too early to tell. I do kind of like the healing support. I feel like if you could pair this with Espeon EX and you can do 50 damage of healing, and if you want, you could pair that with another like supporter card. So this insane amount of healing if you want. Seems rather promising. Next card we have is Mega Altaria EX. Okay, this is the, much like Ampharos, we kind of already know about this card, but look at this majestic immersive art. HP 190, Mega Harmony, 40 base damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each of your opponent's bench, each of your bench Pokemon. Okay, so you could do potentially 130 damage. 130 damage. It feels kind of like the Mega version of Pikachu EX in a sense, but it is a stage 1. Kind of like a spiritual successor if you think about it, because Pikachu EX, the Genetic Apex one, came out in Genetic Apex. Yeah, the first booster set. This is coming out for the first booster set of B1. Yeah, Pikachu EX is A1. So it feels rather fitting, and I might as well show the immersive art. Shoutouts to Cranio again for most of these leaks. This art looks amazing. I really do like this. Kind of reminds me of Kirby. Just, I don't know, maybe it's just the vibrant color palette. And yeah, that was the immersive. Very nice. And I feel like it pairs perfectly, kind of a good contrast with the other immersives, which we will go over later on. But yeah, that's Mega Altaria. We shall see. I mean, it does seem rather promising. Again, too early to tell, but overall could have a lot of potential, especially towards the middle-ish game. And a little bit of the early game if you can get them out relatively fast. Next card is Mega Blaziken. Yeah, everybody knows this card. Probably the most popular Mega from this pack. Definitely, actually. Yeah, it's definitely the most popular Mega. And yeah, HP 210, stage 2, of course. Mega Burning, 120 damage. Discard a fire energy from this Pokemon. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. Okay, this is pretty nice. You're essentially doing 140 damage each turn, and your opponent really doesn't stand a chance. This guy is so tanky. You have lilies, you have the berry, citrus berry, I think it's, yeah, citrus berry, making this guy an absolute monster. And there's a lot of EXs in this pack. Actually, not really that a lot, but there's 2 EXs that stand no chance against this guy. And you can probably tell, I mean, fire, what is fire effective against? Grass, yeah. So yeah, overall, I don't want to kind of dive too much into this guy, but yeah, it looks very promising. Definitely going to be super meta relevant. I can very much see this guy being one of the most popular cards in tournaments, like just 100%. And in regards to immersive, look at this guy. This card reminds me a lot of Charizard EX's immersive. This like literal Pokemon warfare. It's a good way to start the B series. Yeah, not bad. Personally, I do prefer the Charizard EX art a lot better because I mean, this guy, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, he's freaking bending his neck, he's bending everything. He's like really in the heat of battle. So I do like that, but I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of tell what's happening in the Charizard EX art. But it's just my opinion. Overall, yeah, this guy's gonna be huge. This guy will be Charizard EX in this meta, because when Charizard EX came out, that guy was broken. Like that was like I think that's my first deck I ever made, like full actually meta deck I made. And yeah, I mean, if you know, you know. Like if you played this game a year ago, then that guy was just a menace, and this guy is a spiritual successor. And yeah, that's Mega Blaziken. Next card we have is Rapidash EX. HP 150, stage 1. Sprinting Flare does 110 damage, and after attacking, this attack also does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Pretty good, just poke card. Just a little extra. Kind of reminds me a lot of Lucario EX, I feel like. Very similar, so we shall see how good this guy will be. But the thing is, like, compared to Lucario EX, Fire type has a lot more energy support, so I feel like this guy will be far more viable. But yeah, I really do like the art as well. Nice rainbow art. Props to, again, all the illustrators. And yeah, overall, very hard to tell how good this guy will be. I mean, you could potentially pair him with Blaziken, but it's hard to do because, I mean, after attacking, you do discard a fire energy. So you just gotta keep on feeding this guy. That's the only real downside for Mega Blaziken is that. They kind of had to nerf him somehow, so makes sense. So with that being said, I mean, I feel like for Mega Blaziken, you might be better off running this guy with Flareon EX, because Flareon EX can, after attacking this guy, discards 1 energy, and that pairs very good with Flareon EX's ability Combustion. So yeah, that's Rapidash. Next card, Mega Absol. This guy has just piqued everyone's interest. Basic, HP 170, 2 energy, requires only 2 energy, Darkness Claw, 80 damage. Your opponent reveals their hand. Choose a supporter card you find there and discard it. So, kind of like a silver. That's basically his attack ability as silver, but you can just keep on doing this. And you could pair this with Dark Pendant to make it so your opponent has no cards. And on top of that, you know what your opponent has. Every time this guy attacks, you know what your opponent has in their hand, because you just see their hand, essentially. So if they're setting up for something, then you can kind of tell that like, oh yeah, this might be pretty bad. The main downside compared to silver, in your main phase, so before attacking, so after using silver, you can kind of pivot your playstyle to see like if your opponent is like setting up something, if they're most likely going to get like a stage 2 out next turn, then you can kind of like rearrange your Pokemon to make sure you can win. Whereas for Mega Absol, you're looking at your opponent's hands after you attack. So it's a little comparison, but again, still pretty good overall. Mega Absol, I mean, huge in the, I feel like it's going to be super huge towards the early game, but it is pretty scary because it's a Mega. So once this guy gets taken out, you're screwed. So yeah, you got to be very careful. But at the same time, if your opponent does have a Cyrus in their hand, this guy makes it so your opponent having Cyrus in their hand is going to be very unlikely, because again, you're targeting supporters. So the only way they can kind of counter this, especially towards the late game, if you're just like bullying them with Absol, is that they top deck Cyrus, which I mean, they very much can, but yeah, a lot of potential. Very interesting. Again, also a huge fan favorite Pokemon. Next card is Tauros EX. Colorless, HP 140 basic, nice. Wild Tackle, 90 damage, requires 2 energy. Flip a coin if tails. This Pokemon also does 30 damage to itself. I was gonna say like high risk, high reward, but I mean the risk could be detrimental, but like towards the early game, not as much. And keep in mind, you could pair this guy with Elima. So eventually you could just Elima, yeah, just sub him out, just maximizing your points pretty much. I feel this guy's pretty good. I mean, for one thing, it is colorless, so you could pair this with any card, any kind of color archetype. So I can see this guy being somewhat meta relevant for the foreseeable future. And again, that Elima strat is subbing him out eventually. Yeah, could be pretty good. Next card, Melmetal EX. HP 170, stage 1. Headbutt. Requires 3 energy, 2 steel, and then 1 colorless, 80 damage. Metal Arms requires 4 energy, 3 steel, 1 colorless. Does 100 damage, and if this Pokemon has a Poketool attached, this attack does 50 more damage. You can do 150, which pretty much guarantees that you 2-hit KO Megas, pretty much. Unless your opponent can get over 300 HP, like in total in 2 turns, then yeah, this guy can just 2-hit KO anything. So the main issue is that this guy is, of course, in steel. So, but it is interesting because I feel like this guy you might see some play with Dialga EX. Dialga EX might come back because of yeah, just being a pretty good support for steel overall, just giving that energy. So I feel like this is Dina's attempt to bring metal back into the meta, aside from Solgaleo. So yeah, looks rather promising, but we shall see how it performs. But keep in mind, this card is metal. And I mentioned that, I mean, grass, of course, most of them are disadvantageous against fire. But guess what? And steel is the same thing. So yeah, weak against fire. Looking at, where's he at? Mega Blaziken. Yeah, Mega Blaziken will do 140 damage, just base damage, plus poison, that's 160. And if your opponent decides to red, then 180. Yeah, so this Melmetal is not surviving. Could survive, yeah. Honestly, it could survive if you pair damage negation supporter cards onto this Melmetal. I mean, that's kind of what the metal archetype is known for. Kind of obscure, I feel like, but that's more so because metal has been kind of dead again, aside from Solgaleo. Skarmory tried, so I mean, you could pair this guy with Skarmory as well. Maybe not, more so with Dialga, but yeah, very promising yet again. Next card, Whimsicott. Look at that HP, man. Oh gosh. Dude, freaking, I don't see this guy being ran, really, in this meta, especially with how prominent Mega Blaziken definitely will be. Okay, yeah, so yeah, HP 140, stage 1, of course. Grass Knot, 40 base damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. So a rather interesting attack ability. So if your opponent's active Pokemon has a 1 retreat value, you're doing 70 damage. To retreat value, you're doing 100. And then for, let's see, Melmetal's case, you're doing 130. But overall, very variable. It really depends on your opponent. And yeah, I mean, again, I don't feel like this guy will be that meta. Maybe in the future, once Blaziken gets phased out eventually, like probably not, because I mean, he's huge. But yeah, I mean, in this meta, I mean, look, again, Blaziken pulling him up yet again. Very obvious, but base 120 damage plus type advantage. Guy stands no chance. Next card, Jolteon EX. HP 140 stage 1. Ability Electromagnetic Wall. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their energy zone to one of their Pokemon, do 20 damage to that Pokemon. This is interesting. So you essentially want to get this guy out as fast as possible to maximize his damage. But this is good because if you guys don't know, we'll get there later. I'll definitely show it towards the end of the video once we get into the non-EX portion. But there is a card. They added an EV buff. Yeah, they added an EV buff. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the EV meta really needed another buff. Like, I feel like each buff, like each booster pack, they always add something like a better EV. I mean, it is expected, but at the same time, you don't really need this. Like, it's already, I feel like, very good. This EV in general. You could get this guy out your first turn. So that's very promising. And yeah, this is pretty good against Dark Tina. You can just be super aggressive with Dark Tina. So whenever Giratina uses his ability, this guy just targets like this chip damage, and then your next turn you could, if you want, you could Cyrus and just start like beating up that Giratina and damaging that Darkrai as well. So whenever Darkrai gets fed, this Jolteon takes some damage, but inversely that Darkrai takes damage as well. So yeah, as for the meta, I mean, I can very much see this guy being pretty good. Again, kind of fast paced too. This guy's essentially very fast paced, so I mean, that's like, it kind of fits well with the Lightning archetype overall. And yeah, that's Jolteon. Next card, Mega Gyarados. The last chase card, certainly not the least. But yeah, this is the card. Most of you guys probably already know. HP 210, stage 1. Mega Blaster, 140 damage, requires 4 energy. Discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. So towards the middle, you want to get this guy out as fast as possible, I feel like. Just looking at him, I mean, it really depends how prominent draw supports will be. Because I mean, for Sylveon's case, I mean, your opponent will most likely get everything out like very fast. Like, they're gonna basically just outdraw you pretty much. But which is why I feel like you want to kind of pair this guy, if you're running this deck, you want to pair this deck with something like a lot of reds. Like, if anything, if you want even 2 red cards, not reds, yeah, red card, Mars as well. This guy has a lot of potential. I feel like you can get him out very fast. I'm just gonna show this right now, might as well. But looking at the magic card that will come out in this booster set, very frail, yeah, HP 30. However, requires 3 energy. After getting 3 energy, you have Waterfall Evolution. Put a random card from your deck that evolves from this Pokemon onto this Pokemon to evolve it. So essentially, you would use this and just automatically evolve into like Mega Gyarados if the Megas are in the deck. But I mean, if it's in your hand, you might as well already kind of like use it. Also, this card works with the other Gyarados as well, the non-EX and then also the EX version. So keep in mind. Very interesting, very promising. But again, we shall see. Very hard to tell. Very tanky though, but again, doesn't really benefit from Lily, but it does benefit from Arita, so that's pretty good. Next card, Mega Pinsir EX. The first thing I think of as soon as I read that is Blaziken. But yeah, basic, HP 170, critical scissors, 80 damage, 80 base damage, and then flip a coin if heads. This attack does 70 more damage. So 150 damage potentially, and you could pair this with Will to have a guaranteed 150 damage. So yeah, you want to play this guy essentially in the middle to late game. I feel like, again, I'll explain it later on, the card that kind of like makes evolutions a lot more broken, but you could pair this with LEAFEON EX and get this guy out relatively fast, and you can do like kind of like a 2-3 strat right there. Just like lead with LEAFEON EX and eventually sub into Mega Pinsir and his attack from there. But yeah, overall, I mean, very scary, but again, keep in mind this guy can 2-hit KO Blaziken. That's good. So, but at the same time, I mean, Blaziken can definitely 2-hit KO this card. So it really depends on which Pokemon attacks first. I feel like a lot of people don't like this card, but it seems rather promising. It has potential. It definitely does, especially if Grass type becomes more meta. Like if they add more like good energy support, like just broken grass cards, then yeah, I can very much see this card being a lot more viable. But currently, I mean, still see it. I can still kind of see it again with LEAFEON EX just paired with that card. Very nice, but yeah, that's Mega Pinsir. And yeah, those are all the EXs. Right now, I'm just gonna get into the... I'm gonna do non-EX first, and then I'm gonna do supporters at the end. I'm not gonna list all the non-EXs because I mean, there's a lot. I'm just gonna more so just list the ones that are somewhat notable, at least from currently from the time I'm recording this video. But yeah, we have here, first one is Eevee, ability boosted evolution. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, it can evolve during your first turn or the turn you play it. It's pretty broken. Like, so in other words, you can just like flat out just evolve into just whatever you want. Just immediately draw 2 cards or like 4 or 5 cards, how many cards you want in that turn. So it could be very broken, yeah. You could also pair this with Jolteon, the non-EX one. I feel like a lot of people say that like just from first impressions. Yeah, during your second turn, if you get him out, beginning bolt, 40 base damage and 20 more during your first turn, this Pokemon gets evolved into. So you could do just 60, just amazing, just chip damage. Very nice, but again, I mean, there's a lot of other EVs that are better. Again, as I stated earlier, you could pair this with LEAFEON EX as well, just to kind of like just start gathering energy like that. So yeah, man, again, Eevee didn't really need a support, but Dina really loves this Pokemon. They're like, whenever we add a new evolution, we gotta make sure that the basic Eevee is gonna be absolutely broken. And yeah, which kind of sucks. I mean, if you are like me that like the old full arts, then I mean it gets power crept, man. Eevee always just continually gets power crept to the point where like you can't use that full art that you like. And there's been two Eevee full arts so far from what I remember. Just like a non-EX Eevee at least, and some shinies, so it's pretty unfortunate, but yeah, it's Eevee. Next one is Honchkrow, HP 100, stage 1. This card reminds me a lot of Sylveon in a sense, but it is kind of variable when it comes to damage yet again. So requires 2 energy, evil admonition, 40 damage. This attack does 40 more damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon that in play that has an ability. So I mean, looking at the current meta, we see a lot of cards with abilities like Oricorio, Darktinas, Suicune, Greninja. Like, there's a lot of cards, but we shall see how that turns out because from what I've gathered, all the Megas don't have abilities. So that's something to note. So it depends how prominent they will be in their decks and archetype. If your opponent has a full board of Pokemon that have abilities, this card can do 200 damage. Yeah. This one-shotting all EXs, very promising. This card has a lot of potential, but again, it really depends on the meta. Depends how much it shifts, because again, the Megas don't have abilities. But this card, I feel like this card came out this meta, or like I guess in last month's meta, it would have been insane. Like, yeah, a perfect counter to Suicune, and I feel like the dog trio in general. But unfortunately, I mean, it came out now, and we shall see how good it will be. But yeah, if you hate Suicune Greninja, then yeah, I feel like, yeah, this is good. This is a very nice counter, potentially. Next card is Wailord. Very noteworthy because look at the HP. This is the tankiest non-EX we've had ever so far. Stage 1. And yeah, Whale Pump, 4 energy, 60 base damage. This attack does 10 more damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon, which means that once this guy attacks, you're doing 100. This base 100 because, I mean, 4 energy will be attached, of course, but it is water, so keep that in mind. This guy is colorless, but he only benefits from water, so you have to kind of run either Misty or Mantike to kind of support this guy, because yeah, energy requirement is rather abysmal. Same thing with retreat value. This guy is, yeah, he might not retreat, but again, I mean, let me pull him up again. Yeah, Greninja. We have Greninja as the water Celesteela, essentially. So yeah, could have some pretty good synergy with this Wailord. Just something to note, again, just like very interesting that this card has 200 HP. And kind of lore accurate, I mean, it is Wailord, so it does make sense. Next card we have is Zeraora. Nothing really changed with this guy, just shiny. This is something to note. Pretty cool shiny, really do like this. And I mean, there's a lot of decks that still run Zeraora. And then last non-EX we'll be going over, Blaziken. This pack is just dominated with Blaziken because yeah, HP 140, stage 2 of course. Blaze Kick requires 2 fire energy, does 100 damage, very similar to, let me just pull him up right here. let's put him side by side. Yeah, very similar to this in a sense that you do discard a fire energy after attacking. But the thing is, this guy is less risky because non-EX. The main downside is that this card is a stage 2, so getting him out might take pretty long. But if you want, you could definitely make a Blaziken / Mega Blaziken deck. Like I can very much see someone making that. That'll be pretty interesting. Just running the non-Mega and then the Mega just together. And yeah, those are all the non-EXs that we'll be talking about. Again, there's some pretty good ones out there. I suggest watching my trailer video because I do go over some of the cards right here. Again, shout out to Pokemon Zone for this website. But yeah, I did kind of talk about most of the cards in this section. Actually, I think all of them, yeah. So just something to note. And lastly, to end this video off, I'll be going over the supporter cards. Not all of them, but again, this is the majority of them to kind of give you a glimpse into what to expect. And yeah, also I want to give props to Hyperion from the Pokemon Zone Discord for giving these translations. I'm just going to read it off. Yeah, but this is the Japanese card right here. During your opponent's next turn, if your Melmetal or Crabonable would be knocked out by a damage from an attack, that Pokemon isn't knocked out. Instead, it remains in play with 10 HP remaining. Okay, I want to see how this works in battle because could be kind of a rough translation. Maybe it's like very slightly, maybe like the English version will be kind of different, which changes the whole thing because it says that knocked out by a damage from an attack. If this card, like let's say like Melmetal plus let me just look at him. Where's he at? Let's pull him up. So let's say like you're going against the Blaziken EX. This guy dies from the burn condition. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So that will kind of bypass this supporter card, which will, yeah, that's not that good. And if that's the case, then yeah, I mean maybe more so for Crabonable, but for Melmetal, not that good. Next card we have this card. Again, I don't know the exact name, but I'm assuming Copycat. Shuffle all cards in your hand into your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of cards in your opponent's hand. So this is good, especially if your opponent is running Sylveon. I feel this is great because you get you benefit as well. So let's say your opponent does Sylveon. There's 2 Sylveons. Professor's Research, there's freaking voodoo shit, and after the end of your opponent's turn, they have like what 10 cards in their hand. You only have like 3 in your hand. So you play your turn, you use all the cards that you can. So you use all your cards, you evolve like whoever you can with your hand. And then let's say like you're down to 1 card, which is Copycat. You can just use Copycat and then you have a whole fresh hand. Just, yeah, so this card is going to be very fun to run. Opponent has draw support. So again, if this card came out in the previous meta, especially with the Suicune that's dominating, it would have been a lot of fun. Whereas in this meta, we shall see. I feel like this card is very similar to Mars in a sense, but like they're like in polar opposites, you know? Like Mars punishes your opponent if they have a lot of cards, whereas this card rewards you if they have a lot. So yeah, very nice, a lot of fun. I'm definitely gonna be running this a lot. Like, yeah, I feel like this is gonna be very fun to run. Next card we have, what is this? This kind of reminds me of one of those like toys we had as a kid. Each player randomly selects 1 card from their own hand. Both players reveal their chosen card to each other, then shuffle those cards back into their respective decks. If your opponent only has 1 card, then this is going to be huge. So I feel like you could very much pair this with, let's say, Absol. I might as well do that like once I make a Absol video. It's very good for thinning your opponent's hand. Yeah, this would be even worse if this discards it. Imagine like instead of going back into your deck, you just discard it like into your discard pile. That would be pretty huge. But overall, I mean, it seems pretty good. But again, it's very variable, very situational. I feel like it'll only be super viable in certain decks. Next card we have this mallet. Yeah, you got this mallet. Flip 2 coins. If both are heads, discard 1 random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is essentially a worse Team Rocket Grunt. Yeah, because you have to get 2 heads. So if you already hate Misty and Team Rocket Grunt and like coin flip mechanics like that with a passion because you always get tails, then you're probably gonna skip this. You're probably not gonna run this. If you could just disenchant the card, you're most likely gonna disenchant this first. Because yeah, you have to get 2 heads. You have to get 2 heads. If you get tails, then I'm pretty sure this does nothing. This does nothing if you get tails. It's like at least 1 tails. So yeah, just very high risk, and then the reward isn't really, it's okay. Like it could win you the game very much, but it's only 1 random energy. Whereas for Team Rocket Grunt and even Guzzlord, you can just mess up your opponent tremendously. Like I've done that before, especially going up against like Giratina. But at the same time, I mean, you could pair this with Will, because Will guarantees your first coin flip will be heads, but that's the first coin flip. So your second one, if it gets tails, then you just wasted Will and this card. So yeah, wasting 2 cards, so not really worth running. Last card, we have this kind of baseball helmet. If the Pokemon this card is attached to has a retreat cost of 3 or more, it takes 20 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. But again, small niche, kind of like a Steel Apron. It's totally blanked out on the name, but does negate 20 damage instead of 10. So that could be more useful. And you could pair that with, again, like, it has to be 3, retreat cost of 3 or higher. So you could pair this with, see somewhere here, the Melmetal. Yeah, Melmetal has 3, so that goes with that. Just looking at the other ones, I mean, most of them are 2, so they're not really benefiting it. But these guys, Gyarados does benefit as well, so you could run that also. So it really depends. I feel like this card might not be as great. I feel like most people kind of prefer just doing more damage. Like imagine if this was, instead of just negating 20 damage, you do 20 more damage. That'll be pretty good. They can very much make a card like that, just for that, in that case. And I feel like that'll be a lot more prominent in the meta. But more people prefer running like Rocky Helmet and even Giant Cape just to help out a little bit. So I can very much see this card not being that great, like not really that popular. And yeah, that's pretty much the video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This video is rather long, so hopefully you guys did kind of find this enjoyable. And again, this is a little glimpse. I could have made this a lot longer, showing more non-EXs and trainer cards as well. But I primarily just wanted to focus mainly on the EXs, just kind of showcasing all of them, just giving my thoughts and opinions. And if you made it to the end of this video, yeah, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out tremendously. But yeah, that's pretty much the video. Hopefully your summons go well, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.